All right, if everything's ready to go, we'll call the meeting to order. Jen, would you take roll, please?
Commissioner Corbin?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Waldner?
Here.
Commissioner Thale?
Here.
Mayor Lindsay?
Here. All right, first thing on the agenda is approve the July 13th minutes. Those are attached. Any questions, comments, adjustments?
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
Make a motion to approve the July 20th agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Appearances, acknowledgements, and correspondence. The first one is Rosie Jameson available.
Yep.
Yes, I am, Mayor.
Very good. And if we would ask her to put the mic pretty close to her, because the last time we used it, the people that were watching it or listening to it at home were having difficulty hearing on it. So having it close is very important. Good evening, Rosie.
Good evening, Mayor Lindsay. Thanks for having the Greater Madison Area Chamber. We look forward to visiting with you here in a moment. I am passing out some things, Mayor Lindsay.
Very good. Very good.
Mayor, just
Yes.
just give you a quick note that Commissioner Johnson is here as well. So
All right. I'll make note of that on mine here, too.
Thank you.
swag. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners and Mayor Lindsay, for this opportunity to visit with you on behalf of the members, the Board of Directors,
Thank you.
and your partnership with the Greater Madison Area Chamber and Lake Area Improvement Corporation to further promote Madison. The one thing I'd like to introduce and mention at this time as well, here with me today is the current president of the 2015 Greater Madison Area Chamber, Liz Avery from East River Electric, and I believe, yes, and Sarah Wardner is another board of directors. So we're very glad to be able to visit with you about some of the things that we feel are extremely important to benefit Madison and our members, and certainly continue to promote what we all call our place to live, work, and call home. One thing that I'd like to suggest to you is that not only have we appreciated everything that you have done in the past, but the partnership that we have with the city, with our tourism partners, with the idea that we retain after Lake Area Improvement Corporation oftentimes is the recruiter of folks to come in and enhance our economic development and what we have as opportunities here in our community. One of the things that I have suggested to you are in bullet form, and for you to give some positive consideration for this budget request, we ask you to consider the fact that we are moving forward on growing opportunities available and the future for more economic development, further promotion of our community and the attractions that we all experience and enjoy, but to have others do the same, to increase the revenues related to that and to continue that investment here in Madison, and the positive impact upon our partners that we as the chamber can have back to you as a city through increased revenues and enhancement of the community through what LAIC can do with partnership through us, the members overall, and oftentimes we shortchange one of our largest employers in our mind's eye, but I am representing in my mind's eye the impact that we can have favorably to DSU, their recruitment, retention, and of course our tourism as well. This budget request that I have before you is allowing us to upgrade our website and electronic presence. We are in very much need of doing that. Promoting the Greater Madison area through billboards, signage, and images to maintain the positive momentum with adequate resources and staff that we have had through the most recent years and in the past because of your partnership and further investment. and to increase the promotion overall for us to have not area only, but also local patrons to shop locally or buy locally. We ask you to consider this to enhance our further market and to help us overall in the business and the enhancement of the businesses that we have today. Last year, I asked you for 22% of our 2015 projected operating budget. At that time, that request was $81,000 of $361,551 as an overall budget. In 2014, you actually supported 23% of the operating budget as well. Your additional allocation at this time allows us to have expanded technology and enhance our office staff by a part-time, half-time staff person that made a difference on what we could do in making the improvements that we represented to you in 2014 and we continued in 2015. This increase that we have asked of you in 2015, we had the increase of $6,000 for $81,000 of the shared billboard and electronic enhancement. We also were looking at a need for restoration of the memorial wall, which you heard and you continued and supported with $75,000 back to the chamber and funded the additional $16,000 to restore the memorial wall to best represent Madison, which we all have appreciated, and make sure that our historic building and grounds are retained as a good storefront for our community. Again, we want to thank you for that because that has made a huge difference and it looks absolutely great if you haven't had a chance to see it thus far. This year we are respectively requesting again, a 23% of our overall budget allocation at $88,600 against the budgeted 2016 overall operating expenses and income of $378,700. And the whole purpose behind this is to promote the members, the community, and economic development, of course resulting in a better quality of life, which is the Chamber mission for the last 84 years and this 85th year of its inception. The City of Madison projected allocation is at 23%, then of course leaving 77%, $290,000 of member investment, programming support, event and partner revenue to promote our community. When I say partner support, we're talking about some of our associations that we're a part of, as well as within Madison, because we do have support from our tourism colleagues as well. Since 2010, our membership has grown 16%. This is representing progress. This is representing respect and belief and continuity in the collective approach of marketing and promoting this great place we call home. In 2010, we had $68,400 of member revenue. That represented 271 members. Today, we have 315 members. And I just checked the financials. We have $97,380 from those members. Our membership dues in 2016 would be projected within this budget allocation that I'm asking of $100,000 for increased retention and growth of those current 315 members. And of course, as I mentioned, this is really speaking volumes of endorsement and collective marketing and retention of the services of the Chamber to promote all. Our dependence is very, very much in your hands on what we can do to enhance and continue our capable management of resources, yet enough to meet the expectations of our members and the people that we don't have as members that we need to convince, which are all the folks that choose not to come to Madison, but to go other locations for their business, their fun, or where they shop. So my funded request is broken down on a few items there for you in a listing. The $88,600 is not specifically outlined here. What is outlined are the enhancements that your $88,600 would be able to benefit over $378,000 that I've requested. The major area of emphasis is to secure and enhance our digital, social media, as well as our imagery that people see. We have a brand-new entrance to Madison that we haven't had for many, many years, and that will be ready to go, all 25 miles of it, or 23 miles of it, very, very soon on Highway 19. We have not had a presence for the Madison community overall on Interstate 90, the highest, the longest, the oldest road in the United States. Not the oldest, excuse me, the longest road in the United States. So here we have the opportunity to capture all those people if we have a presence.
We were the first state.
Sorry, we were not the first state, not the oldest. One of the first interstates is what 90 is.
Never know, it could have been like a road
No, it is the longest.
before.
The one thing, so in contacting some of our folks that have billboard signage, we could have a presence of significant location between 29 and 19 to be able to do that. And it would also enhance people that decide to go through 85, so that's one consideration. The other is to increase the signage size and enhance the location of our current billboard that is located on I-29. And those of you that may not be aware, mile marker 109 is where that is located right now. It's 1.5 miles, or right at 1 mile before the Madison exit. The chamber website itself was designed and has done a yeoman's job of what we are currently in. It's kind of like an instance where we do need to refurbish and upgrade. We need a facelift of our chamber website. It needs to be more social media sound and smartphone capable. It is not at this point in time. And to do that, we need some assistance, and to ensure that that's happening, we can use it through our chamber master database structure that we have, plus some of our local folks and others that could assist us in this way. We know that we need to have social media strength to be able to represent our members well. This is an area that we need some resources to be able to make that happen. Along with online registrations, it would make it easier for our members and for participants to spend money, as well as constant contact to be implemented within that chamber update. Our pictorial images overall, tourism, print, and electronic media, electronic promotion that we can do on getting to know the Madison area more and better and more. That would better aid us in representing ourselves with conference attendees, to other people as they're looking at Madison, and for our businesses to be able to say, consider this as a possibility. It would help with our partnering with the Lake Area Improvement Corporation as well when they're marketing Madison. The other things that are listed there are pretty self-explanatory to extend our print media as well. Not only do we need to look at social media for enhancement, but also never forget the tried and true, what people see and have in their hand, the print media. Then in addition to that, I know that you have constantly had people that are coming before you with requests, but the one thing that I would like to also suggest is we understand that everyone needs to have a replacement of very important items in their treasure chest of promotions. And one of the things that we are doing and have done a very good job of in Madison is the look of Egan Avenue. One thing that we also can do is look at our light system and our design and our displays at the holiday season, which entice people to come and spend and shop and have fun in Madison. So as a part of this request that I've made to you, or that the chamber has made to you, of the the additional amount of the $88,000, I'm asking that you would turn back to your own funds, $500 of that toward a light fund because of the enhancements of lights and the look to entice people and make it more modern down the road. Not today, not tomorrow, but in the future, to be able to see that the members and the chamber know that that is an expense, and we want to be able to help you prepare for that in a request that we would be giving back. We're currently at the threshold of a variety of things. To maintain and increase our positive impact to members, promotion, and to further develop what we have today, or to fall short of opportunities with inadequate resources, to support what has been created, and to our community and members on expectations that they have in social media, visual displays, and the staff support to be able to make that happen for them in individual trainings. Your positive consideration of this, what I should say, 2016 request, would position your chamber with additional resources to increase its market share against other communities. Not that we are trying to compete, but when people look at a website or look at a certain area or consider where they're going to spend an afternoon or a day, we need to be in the forefront, not trailing behind. We'd like to be unified in that stand, and that's one of the ways that we can do it. Notable items to share, as I mentioned to Jen when we sat down, I thought we'd given an update to you, so I just threw those things out there to kind of let you have a snippet from what we last have visited. That we do have 19 new members that have chose to invest in this community that we all call home, and that we want to continue to progress. This effort is extremely important for all of us to continue to be positive and to promote Madison by chamber members and, of course, their membership. We've hosted state and regional sport competition, the South Dakota Symphony, as well as many other exposures throughout the community. Our Facebook page has, just in June, had a reach number of 3,900, which was unprecedented in the days of yore, so we're really happy about that, and of course increased likes. We've had regional interviews as well, and just recently I did put that URL on there. We had an opportunity to visit at the Madison Arts Council, KSFY. The 85th recognition, I hope all of you have continued to enjoy some of the events of the 85th, because that has really helped instill pride, and it's amazing the folks that will ask me things about that throughout. A group of volunteers came together, the 10 different areas that are represented, and we continue to give you facts and information to be prideful of where we live and work. The largest Discovery Day is coming up, 3rd annual, and I have provided you a copy of what the activities, events, promotions are, as well as informational displays. Please take the time and partake in that day, because we know that you folks that make the decision on things can see firsthand the smiles, the involvement, and the interest that people have of having the opportunities that we create for them for a day. Record number of recognitions to promote good news, progress, and continued investment continues here at the Chamber. And we have increased the Madison area guides to make others learn more and more about how to show what we do and know more about who we are through the overall view book. I do want to mention to you that we had many of our colleagues here just last week that had not experienced Madison, from Tyndall, Tabor, Vermillion, Beersburg, Elk Point, and those areas that are common to us in a sense, but had not ever experienced like Madison. They didn't have any idea what we had. And those are the kinds of things to get out and provide, and with us being involved at those associations, you can do, and providing you the time to make those contacts. I know that Julie and I both are excited about something that's upcoming on a press release that will be announced next week. But on August 19th, we have a visitor forthcoming, and that will be an extremely important day for cooperative effort for all of us to be able to represent our community well, as we will be shown as Madison will be the #1 city for the day. And I'll let Julie go on with that a little bit further. We ask for your thoughtful consideration as you deliberate on all the many priorities that you have. I know there are many. I know we are one. But we represent many, and we can do lots with the resources that we know that you have entrusted with us thus far, and we hope you can continue to. Do you have any questions or thoughts that you'd like to share with me, or ideas? I am certainly open, or Liz, to be able to address them.
I just had a real quick one, and you might have covered it, but I'm not sure it was entirely clear. What's the difference between the electronic promotion, get to know the Madison area, and what you're doing on your website?
The 2,000 on the website?
Yeah.
The $2,000. We have not had a video of Madison that would be something like when you had the municipalities here. We did a PowerPoint presentation, but we don't have like an interactive someone visiting about Madison and then also showing some of our businesses, showing industry, showing some of the new and upgraded things. We just have a pictorial. That would be one thing that is the majority of that cost.
Oh, okay. So it's
That's where the
something that
difference lies.
you,
Basically a video, informational video promotion compared to the website presence and revamping of the website to be point and click, scan oriented compared to the heavy copy.
cause we've done other videos and stuff, and so like, this would be multiple videos, or are you looking at just one?
This would be the
or-
start of initial one. We
Okay.
currently have had Outdoorsman's Magazine come, and they have done production as well. And we will be featured quarterly in a 6-state area on Veterans Fishing Program, and then they did it on Madison. So this would be something to couple off that or to utilize some of that video. And that was just one of the estimates that I got.
Okay, and obviously you can put that on your website then as well and point people to it. And be nice if you could maybe work with the hotels and some that can put it up maybe on a display then as well, you know, on
To be
a
continuous
TV.
loop.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, something like that, but I'd also say, you know, get a hold of the art department and, you know, at DSU, because those kids are always looking for
Looking for more
digital
things.
media projects,
Mhm.
and I
And
know
they're
that
very,
they're.
very,
Uh-huh.
very capable.
Yeah, there's a couple of those students that are exceptionally good at that kind of thing and would like the challenge. So it's something to,
Very, very good, very good.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
may I ask a few questions?
yes.
Thank you. What would be the impact on the chamber, your recruitment efforts, your development efforts? I don't know how else to say this other than just, if we didn't have an airport, if our airport was, our airport access was extremely limited, what would the impact be, do you
Well,
think?
since you just recently invested monies in that.
I never wrote a
it's
check yet.
related to it,
Yeah.
And the importance of the future of our community and businesses overall and industry contact. The one thing that I would tell you at a regional airport, chamber state meeting, we had a regional airport representative there that was the president of the association. His comments were, when you consider economic development and when you consider whether or not people will go places, the first thing they do to check out something is go to the internet. The second thing they do is how can they get there. If they cannot get there, businesses and some of the needs that they may have without air service, that would be one consideration that would be negative on their
Mhm.
thought process. In addition, it puts us in a catch-22 behind others that do have it. So if you're considering one community to the other, it allows us that flexibility.
Just a discussion question, given what we're going through right now. You know, it's worth noting from an economic standpoint.
I know too that, as I've been around some of the different airports, that how renowned our training and program with pilots being trained has really put Madison on the map in that regard. And, that it doesn't have as much activity as some of the other airports in the region, so then they take a look at coming to Madison and then going from there, so then they don't have to worry as much on timing and schedule and so forth. It has a tremendous positive impact for us.
Thank you. Your membership, excuse me, now your membership, I got a few questions here.
Nope, you're doing good, Kelly. You keep
Thanks,
going.
Roy, I'll
You're
let you know when
fine.
I'm done, okay? Your membership dues or fees, how are those based?
They're based on whether or not it's a general business or a financial institution, and then it also, the larger you are, the more you have contributed because your employees are receiving more of a benefit from the chamber through the events and activities. We also have a very, very minimal, like 3, that are seasonal, based on, you're just open in the summertime. And then some are linked to eating establishments or accommodations, so it's based on beds or campsites or number of chairs in your restaurant, those kinds of things. So it's really on a sliding scale to try to benefit those that are larger, to understand they are on a progressive scale instead of a regressive scale. Does that help?
Yeah. does.
Sounds complicated.
It's very complicated
it is,
formula,
you know.
but it's so complicated that it would be even more so to try to change, but we're in the process of looking at that.
Yeah, it doesn't beat the Board of Regents, but it's close.
Yeah.
Tough question, but if we had to suddenly do a 5% decrease in everybody's budget across the board, what would it be like for you? Can you imagine it?
What would I likely do?
Yeah.
What would it be
How would-
like?
yeah, what would it be like, but, you know, or what would you likely do?
I'd relook at the entire process that I did to try to formulate this request, because as you recall, I came before you last year and said that we needed an additional amount to be able to stay in line with some of our competitors. At this point, if we do that, we would be shortchanging an area, possibly reducing events, enhancing, still would be the need for this social media presence and the website to me. So that would not be shortchanged. But any type of print media, any type of billboard presence, any of those kinds of things would have to be for that.
Last question. The $500 turn back, or, Mr.
Yes.
Askin, if we funded you at 88.6, you want to turn back $500 to the city for lights?
For a
Enhancement of
fund
the-
for the
enhancement of Main
enhancement
Street.
lights, because I know with LED lights and all of the different displays, very quickly, a community can find itself in arrears with the look of people when they are wanting to spend money the most. And that is an opportunity for people to bring folks back and to share in the look of the community. It entices folks. This is something, it's, even though extremely minor and, something that you might think $500, Rosie, why are you even talking about it? But if, over the course of time, if the chamber and chamber members are looking, this is a way for us to either reduce our request or enhance what we want you to put aside money into that area, because we realize the importance of what it does to people's local spending and pride in their community. That's where we're coming from.
It is amazing when you know, I live on Egan, you look down Egan after, like, Ted puts the flowers up, as the lights go up. It is a significant enhancement, just a small thing, you know, and not small, but, it's, you know, it is.
It makes
it
one
makes a difference, yeah.
feel good about where they're
Yeah.
at. And that speaks volumes to people.
Are you going to ask for contributions from other entities for that, to a fund for that?
For the funding for
Mhm.
that, historically, the chamber has only had the opportunity to request funds here.
Okay.
We do also, most recently, we have had success in asking for funds from our Regional Tourism Association.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Very good, very good. Anyone else have any other questions or comments?
Go ahead, Mike.
You go first. I
think
just
you're
want to
supposed to.
follow up just on one thing that Commissioner Johnson said as far as, and Rosie mentioned people getting to Madison. Obviously, you know, at the airport, and we're 45 minutes from Sioux Falls, so obviously that's where people are going, you know, to fly out, which in a lot of places is
For
a
residential
shorter,
traffic.
yeah, a shorter drive than a lot of other bigger airports, but I also understand the need for, you know, our industry as well with the airport. What do you see the chamber's role in 434, getting a 4-lane on Highway 34?
And certainly we're for it. The role of the chamber is to try to continue to inform and provide the information that will help people make informed decisions, and to be in the forefront when I'm speaking with people that make a decision on that at the transportation level or legislators, of the importance of safety and our need to be able to enhance our ability to get people to Madison and our industries to be served in a 4-lane format. When several locations that have less traffic than ours are receiving that 4-lane, you know, it's very difficult, but I know that schedules are out there and that's what they go with. But for us to continue to promote, continue to be that little needle on the side, to do as much as we can and always be proactive with it and not reactive. progressive and not regressive and not negative, as much as we could possibly do to support the 4 for 34, I feel very strongly. It's a change, and the members to do whatever we can to make that happen.
Okay, well, we may be having to call on you because, for obvious reasons, and it's something, you know, it's not gonna be made overnight, even if the decision was said go, but we need to continue to keep the decision makers, legislators, DOT's commission aware, and that's where we may need help from the chamber, and or Julia, I'll be coming to the LAIC for the same thing, is, you know, it's not just the safety side of it, we all drive it, that road's crazy dangerous, and I'm shocked we haven't had more fatalities, honestly. And it's just, I think a lot of people now ducking down 19, and or they just know it's gonna take 40 minutes to get 20 miles. So, but, okay, thank you. Mr.
All right, very good.
Wait,
Roy, I got one.
Hold it there, Cowboy.
In the past, when I initially started, I did write a letter in support of Russ at the time going.
Yep.
And it was the safety and the aspect that we have so much industry and the large equipment dealerships that we have as
Yep.
well, with those going on a 2-lane road is an accident waiting to happen. And the recreational vehicles that continue to get larger and larger and larger.
correct.
So I was reading in the Sioux Falls paper recently, and some of the hotels approached the city years ago and asked them to implement a entertainment district so they'd have more resources for promote the city. I was wondering if you and your members have ever thought about doing that, providing us as a city more resources so we could in turn give it back to you to promote the city.
I think I need to understand a little bit more about.
I want to
what
put,
you're
like,
saying.
essentially, they asked the city to implement the $2 a night occupancy tax, and then they return that money to promote the city.
Promote the city, the downtown atmosphere,
Yeah,
and that kind of.
I think they essentially made the entire city an entertainment zone, and then they promote the city of Sioux Falls, and more people come and sleep there. Has your members or you ever discussed that? It would give us more resources to in turn give
We haven't to
you.
that point, but interesting concept, and of course, a lot of times with entertainment and nightly activity, people oftentimes need accommodations as well, so we always are looking at that as an area
Right.
and thought process too. But just for your in-out day trips and your evenings, to have people feel like they have more opportunity and more selection, because different people have different tastes. So you try to mark as much as you can to identify with those folks. And that's another thing that with better selection, better sorting on filtering for our website would be able to allow us to do up front, and then it could be a chicken and egg kind of
Right,
process.
right. Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Well, I want to thank Rosie, and since I don't have the handout, when I get back and met here on Wednesday, and that I will be looking it over carefully, and it'll be part of our budget process, as you alluded to in the beginning, and we will definitely take, a look at your budget as well as everyone else's, and that we'll be going through between now and September. So I want to thank you, and I think we're, since I can't see, in the room there, but I'm assuming in that Julie is there, and we could move to Julie Gross.
Thank you, Mayor Lindsay, and safe travel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hmm?
Hello, Mayor.
Hi.
Thank you.
Jeff Bloom is passing something out.
Hello, Mayor. How are you today?
Doing very good, doing very good.
Well, thank you for having me today. This is Jeff Bloom, the president of our board. I have
Hi,
three
Jeff.
things today for you all. First, we'll start out with my quarterly update. So I'll give you the quarterly update since May. And then we'll move on from there. Since I was last here in May, our spec building is done as far as we want it completed right now. We're waiting to pour the concrete floor. We have, the parking lot and landscaping is also left. We have several interested parties. We have not signed a lease with anyone yet. There will be a sign going up this week that says for sale or lease. Life Floor, they are the one that I've told you about in the past. They partnered with Falcon Plastics. It was a great example of a partnership. They had a kickoff earlier this month, and so we're excited to see them up and going. We think it's 3 to 5 jobs right now, but hopefully, as this thing grows, it will be, there'll be more jobs. Since I last was here, First Line Funding Group has purchased land in the industrial park, and we had a groundbreaking in May. And right now, they're working on the gravel pad on their lot. They're in the northeast corner, towards the Heartland and Madison Vision Clinic. So, as a community, we should be very excited about their business. They started with 2 employees. They're now 50 and growing, and they have plans for 100, and they've been parking for 100, and they have plans that they could grow from there. And the greatest thing is they chose to stay in Madison. The Heartland Tech Center, which is north of the field house, we're gonna be working on the parking lot, or I'm not, but we're having work done in the parking lot there next week. We're gonna cut out and fix the cracks, because there's some major cracks there, and we'll be sealing that also. And then, I don't know if you saw the paper tonight, but we had a generator that wasn't being used right now, and we thought that we would sell it, and Jeff did a lot of work on figuring out what it was actually worth, and then Scott Peterson was at a meeting and found out, Scott from the county commission found out that the county needed a generator, and we had one, so what a perfect partnership. They needed it for 911 services, and who doesn't want 911 up and running? So our office decided, the board actually decided that we would just donate that generator. So worked with Shane Fry and Rick Barger, and it's up and going, and it's installed, and so that's really great, and we were just thrilled that we could assist with that. We've just been responding to a lot of requests for our spec building, and you know, we've been getting a lot of requests for retail lately. I'm not quite sure what's going on, because we get a lot of requests and we don't know who it is, but we've been getting a lot of requests, and you know, we're excited that Carl's is here with, you know, a different chain with a name recognition, and I think that will help others, you know, look at us a little more seriously. Last week we had a visit from some people from Washington DC. They were with USDA, and they were here to specifically look at projects with revolving loan funds, and so they looked at Life Floor, and they looked at our spec building, and then we left Madison and went on to some other places. As Rosie said, Madison will be capital for a day on August 19th. The governor will be in town. He'll have about 5 people with him. More information will be coming. We just found out about it, so we do not have anything planned yet. It is from 9 to 3. There will be tours, coffee open to the public. First Lady will be reading at the library. That's about all I know, but we will get more information out to you as soon as we have it. So that's my quarterly update. Anybody have any questions?
Very good. Any questions or comments from anyone?
Hi, Mr. Mayor, I have just a quick question, and it can go either now or in our budget stuff too, but.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Chad, DOT's putting lights from the intersection on Highway 19 all the way back into town, correct?
Yes.
We had talked about that, and so how do you, I mean, obviously that's gonna help our industrial park, I mean, that,
Oh, you mean the parking, or the
street lights coming
It's
in,
awesome.
all, how cool is that, huh?
I love it. I love when I come in, I love seeing those lights that they have out there. And that would be great for industry and.
Yeah, cause you knew they were gonna extend that all the way into town then,
Right.
right? So,
That would be great. And you may recall that, we did an intersection analysis on that.
yeah, that's what kinda reminded me of that.
Yeah, we did that, you know, right when I started. That was one of the first things that DOT required of us. And eventually, we may have to put, you know, a turning lane. I mean, I can't say no. They told us we would have to put a turning lane in there, so it'd be great to
Yeah.
have the lighting there. Because there will have to be actually 2 turning lanes.
Right.
To go into Industry Avenue, so.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
No, very good. Anyone else? Any other questions or comments?
How many lots do you have for sale out there in industrial park yet?
Well, we have about 120 acres. We don't have them broken up into lots right now. They can be broken up into different, not very many of them are platted yet. Because if you plat it, then if you plat it for 10 acres and somebody comes in and says they want 5, then you have to pay to replat it. So we don't have it platted, but we have about 120 acres. Not all of that has infrastructure to it though, that on the far south side, had many conversations with Chad about that. We don't have, you know, the water, the sewer, there's no road there. But out towards the front, you know, we've got 16 acres, I believe, right along Highway 34.
The far southeast corner's not, don't have water and sewer into it.
No, none of that far south does, so. But down to Industry Avenue, we do, and on both sides of that. So then we've got, so we've probably got 30 or 40 acres that have infrastructure.
Reason I asked is, would you, if you get everything filled up out there, you probably go south?
Yes. We
Okay.
would love to put a road on the far, I mean, you can come in anytime and I'll show you our plans. We would love to put a road in the far south. Be 16th Avenue. At some point. Once we get the front ones filled, we would love to go back there.
Does 16th Avenue exist?
Not yet.
It does in our plans.
In the plans it does,
In the
right.
master plan, it's there.
I was just looking for the
Yeah.
future,
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
thank you.
You bet. So.
Very good. Well,
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, yes.
did we have you did a cleanup out there, last time you reported?
Yeah.
Yeah, picked up
a lot.
lots of garbage. Is that improved for you?
Yes.
Or for us, I should say?
Yes, yes.
Um,
There was, I think, 45 bags,
Mhm.
and then I've picked up since, and my kids have picked up since. Jeff has been out there picking up trash with us also. It really has, and we have worked very, very hard at keeping it mowed and weed eating around the fire hydrants and just trying to make it look good out there. And I think that's probably helped also, is that we've kept it clean along the highway, so it isn't just as easy to toss things. And a lot of it was old. I mean, I think it just needed a really good cleanup, but the Boy Scouts did a fabulous job.
I just thought it was significant that you had made that effort. Thank you.
We've done it every year, it just, the Boy Scouts really, like Julie said, dug in and really picked up some older stuff and went at it pretty hard. It was a significant move.
Are we keeping,
Thanks for noticing.
Yes.
are we able to keep noxious weeds under control and those kinds of things?
You know, it seems to be okay.
Okay.
We have to be careful because we don't want to spray too close to the farmer, but yeah.
To what?
To the farmland, because they
Totally
bail it out
understand.
there.
Yep.
But it's good, we really don't have a bad weed problem around there.
If you keep it mowed and nice, I mean, that helps with all of that too,
Yeah.
so.
It does look good. It is rough to mow because it is a field. I've
Yeah.
done it. It's hard to mow, but that's the way it is. It is good. It's not long.
Very good, Mayor. You're up.
Yeah, and not only does it, you know, make it look nicer in that, but it also reduces our fire danger in that when the grasses get to the point where they start drying out. So that really helps a lot too. So, all right, any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, then I want to thank you, Julie, for being
Wait,
here this evening.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
Well, that
sir.
was just my quarterly report.
that was just our quarterly update.
Now the fun
Okay,
part.
well, see, I can't see that.
This
from
isn't
here.
the end, Roy. This is
Yeah,
just,
she's
this
got-
is a prelude.
This is just the beginning.
Keep moving forward.
This is just a warm-up,
We
you
gotta
know?
tell you about all the good stuff before we, throw our lure out there.
No, very good. All right, Julie, the floor is yours.
Okay, so now we'll get into the budget stuff. First, I just want to thank you for your passport.
And if you would bring that mic a little
Okay.
bit closer, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, just thank you for your past support and then ask again for your continued support. Just a brief history, the Madison Development Corporation was started in 1969 after the John Morrell meatpacking plant closed. There were 125 employees that were out of a job. And at that time, Madison Industries, business and individuals and the city and the county pooled money together, and that's how the Madison Development Corporation was formed, which eventually became the LAIC, which was incorporated in 1975. We are run by a board of 12, so generally it's me that's asking, and I'm the one that gets the good credit and takes the heat now and then, but we do have a fabulous board of 12. Jeff Bloom is here with me today. I just want to run through the other board members, just because I don't think you always know, or people don't always know who they are. We have Paul Schultz, DeLon Mork, Blake Rummel, Mark Stoller, Dustin Williams, Stacy Cruzmark, Mike Malone, Mike Brook, Linda Solomson, and then we have the mayor from the city and Scott Peterson from the county. And I really couldn't ask for a group of more dedicated, passionate individuals. We are all really, as a city, extremely fortunate. So collectively, we make up the LASC. We have two requests from you. We have our budget and then our Forward Madison. Our budget request is $140,000, and as you guys are well aware, costs go up every year, whether it's office supplies, papers, computers, our electricity, natural gas, insurance, everything seems to go up. But the LAC has asked for the same amount of budget money since 2007, and now for the 10th year, we're asking for the same amount again. We are trying very hard to be fiscally responsible and prudent in our spending. So we are continually looking for other sources of income. And Jeremiah, to your question earlier on the bid and occupancy entertainment tax, we talk about that frequently. So, those are definitely
Thanks,
things
Julie.
Those are definitely things in our conversations. We're very privileged to have a lot of good things happening in Madison. Some of them we are directly involved in, and some of them we are indirectly, some of them we are not involved in at all. And for those that we're not involved in, we just hope that, some of the things we're doing are setting the stage and that these things are just happening, because, the rising tide lifts all boats. If you look at over the past couple of years, there was bare land in our industrial park. Bob asked about the industrial park. Where Global Polymer is and Industry Avenue, that was bare land. Where Zebra and Raven and where Spec Building was, all bare land. First Line Funding Group, they're moving out there. That was all bare land, and now, we have growth. Sometimes I think when we live here, we don't always notice what's going on. And we see it, but then we kind of forget about it. Where the Lake area townhomes were, on Union Avenue 2 years ago, that was also bare land. We were directly involved with all of those projects. Some of the others that we were indirectly involved with were the townhomes across from Bachman, the Encore store, the Masons, the Pub House, those are indirect ones. Some we haven't been involved in, but we have board members, in F&M and the elevator, we have our board members, they did renovations, the high school renovation, and obviously we can't forget about the biggest renovation, or the biggest one of all, which is the hospital. We have a loan fund. That fund, that we receive that money from USDA, that cannot be used for anything except loans. We can't put that into our budget. We can't spend that money at all. That is just to loan out. We've done, this last year, we did one for Lights Floor and the movie theater. We don't have a lot of money in our loan fund right now, so payments are coming in, and we'll be having a balloon payment pretty soon. So I would anticipate more loans next year. If we do any this year, they'll be very small loans. Last year, our board paid off 2 loans early. We're working towards paying off another one early this year. That is our first ask of the 140. Then our next one, as you know, they did a Forward Madison 1 campaign, and then in 2012, they did a Forward Madison 2 campaign. And at that time, when the LAC came to the city, they asked to come forward each year for the request instead of asking for all of it at once. So this is the 4th year of a 5-year request for $120,000. The Forward Madison brochure had 2 key points in it: business development, and the other was retail development and marketing. Business development, we kind of talked about that, just where the land is, and we're trying to facilitate expansion efforts and new business attraction. I think I've probably told you before, but 80 to 85% of your employees come from existing businesses, and so it's easier to get your current businesses to expand than to try to bring new ones in. But we have had success with new ones also, some big, some small. We have the former Jersey's building. They just are, they really only employ 3 people right now, 3 outside people, but, that might continue to grow. And then in the retail development, that's just to encourage expansion into Madison and Lake County. And we've seen several things happen, Power Promotions that, moved into a bigger building, they can offer more things, which enabled Madison Instant Printing to move, which they can have more offers. So, I think it just all kind of snowballs. I will say, I put in my notes today because I get a lot of calls about the Family Dollar building, and that has been under contract for at least 2 months, and so we're just waiting to see, they're still doing some of the due diligence on that. So there should be a retail business of some sort going in there. But it's been under contract. So, as community leaders, we should be really fortunate because there really are a lot of good things happening in Madison.
As we look towards the future, in economic development, we talk a lot about workforce development. We need more employees, we need more housing, and a lot of the surrounding communities, actually all of the surrounding communities that are a little bit bigger than us, meaning Huron, Brookings, Mitchell, Aberdeen, Sioux Falls, of course. They have all hired a workforce coordinator, and they put them in their economic development office. I just didn't feel like we were at the point where we needed to hire a workforce coordinator. So we're taking on some of those duties ourselves, working with the school, being a liaison with the CTE program. And then we also are doing initial discussions on English as a second language or ESL program. We'll be meeting with the Department of Labor, the Career Learning Center, and international programs at DSU. It would definitely benefit our industries, but even more importantly, our schools, if we could have an English as a second language class. So we're working on that. We're working on enhancing our website. We've got some new things coming out on our jobs page. And then this fall, it will be the third year that the Governor's Office of Economic Development is having Manufacturing Week. And we partnered with the Chamber the last 2 years, and we hope to partner with them again on the third year. It'll be September 28th through October 2nd. We did tours last year, and we held the first ever Pride of What We Build showcase where manufacturers were at the playhouse, the different industries, and they were able to show off what it is that they make. So we had really good success with that. So, on behalf of the board, we just thank you for your past support and your continued support of our office. And if you look at our budget, I gave you a copy of, I just took QuickBooks and then I collapsed it to these categories. And then I put a couple of, as I look through there, just, like an overview of some things. And then a couple of newspaper articles that just happened recently with Life Floor. It's kind of nice when you get the Daily Leader to pick it up, but then the Sioux Falls Business Journal also. So that's kind of nice. But if you look at our budget, you see we have income, the city of Madison, Lake County, Ford, Madison 2 income. The city amount is included in there. We have some in-kind money, and then we get income from our leased properties and land. We continue to be about in the 35 to 40% of our budget, and this year we were 38, or in 2016 we were 38% of our budget. Under the expenses, like I said, I just broke this out into the different categories that we have. New business attraction and retention, those are shows we attend, GUD, Advantage South Dakota, different things that we belong to. Investor relations are things like annual meeting, advertising. Our marketing is radio, paper marketing programs we have. Retail, there's just different programs that we're working on through that. Payroll, taxes, insurance, benefits, our IRA and medical, office operations. That's just various, that everything that falls under there, our utilities, our phone, our internet, everything falls under there. Professional services, there's our audit, our monthly accounting services, and then we have our leased properties, which, our payments, our insurance, our R&M on our properties that we own, and then the industrial park, the same thing there, and then our loan payments on our spec building. I should also mention that, I just need to jump back a minute, I just thought of something. If we do this ESL program, what we're doing right now is we are trying to figure out what the actual costs are for it. But one of the groups that I belong to is Advantage South Dakota. There's matching funds available through them. So if it's gonna cost us $10,000 to do this, if we can come up with $10,000, they'll match it. So that's what we're doing right now, is we're figuring out what it would cost to put a program in place for a year and 2 years and 3 years. But we do have some funds for one of the groups we belong to. So any questions, or what are your questions?
Anyone have any questions or comments?
You wanna add anything to my question about the airport? As a resource for you?
It's a great resource for us, and every request, not every request, but almost every request that we answer from the governor's office, they ask for airport information. And so even if someone, no matter what, if they're looking at our community, some ask for it, whether or not they're gonna utilize it, whether or not they're gonna be in the industrial park, but they ask lots of questions. So we are continually calling out to the airport and getting any information we can, because a lot hinges on our airport. We'd be very sad if we did have our airport.
And I'm not advocating that we wouldn't, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to clarify a
It's
little bit
a
both for
really-
ourselves and for the public,
Yeah. That
what
and Highway
importance it
34
does have.
are huge for industries.
That and what, that's right, John?
And Highway 34, if that could be 4 lanes, would be huge for our industrial park. And it would be, it just would be another tool to attract.
And to continue to be part of the I-29 corridor. You
Sure.
know, if we're gonna be linked to that growth up and down, north of Sioux Falls, towards,
Fargo.
north, Fargo, exactly. If we're gonna be part of that, we need to be able to have access.
Have a spur.
Good, safe access,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
What impact would, if we had a sudden emergency of some kind where we had to ask everybody to reduce their budget by 5%? Any sense how that would affect, or you would just make internal cuts and continue the services you have? My question is predicated based on what happened in Boston last year, a city that in 2 weeks used its snow budget up completely, you know? You can't imagine that. And they had a river to dump it in, you know, or it's an oceanfront. You know, we do not, you know, it could be, something like that could be horrific for us, you know. And I'm not saying we're not prepared as a city government to handle that, but it might, you know, it's pretty catastrophic for them, so.
I just, not having a lot of time for planning for it, I would just say we probably have to change where we market what we do. You know, maybe instead of attending a show, not attending a show, sending a brochure with someone else, or, you know, we just would have to, you know.
And I asked that simply, I think I said to both you and Rosie, it more as a fair warning, you know. I think we need to be proactive in that sense, you know, say, we gotta hold back a little bit, so we should get through some of the budget before we do some things, just to make sure we don't have something. It's just an ultimate reality in this time, you know. But thank you,
Yeah, I think, you know, I think that's-
and thank you for your
I think we
presentation
tend to
too.
be fairly frugal, you know,
Yeah.
but when, forced with looking within, you know, we could deal with that. But
Sure. And I think you use the word frugal. I think good stewardship is important. I think that somebody approaches of the budget, that they've asked 140,000 of us, how many years?
This will be 10.
10 years.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. Should have noted that's
Yeah.
an exceptional thing.
Commissioner Kelly, I'll throw one other thing, is that I've been visited with them, and they've talked about a little bit what Mr. Corbin was talking about with, you know, the different plans. I know your board members have been racking their brains trying to figure other ways to also increase income and become more self-sustaining and all of those things. So I commend them for continuing to do that, and, 'cause, yeah, I mean, anytime you can twist it and make something work, and Julie, don't slow down recruiting, even those 1, 2, 3 employees, because that builds. I'm also encouraged that, you know, one of the things that I hope to do is to continue to do what the city can do to improve existing cities, or existing businesses within our city, because you're right, that's where a lot of that growth comes from. And so, you know, it's one thing if we can steal from another state, that's fine. You know, we steal from other towns or something, that's not our model. You know, that's not sustainable it might help Madison, but it doesn't help our state either. And so we need to kind of keep continually growing internally, and I think we've done that in a lot of areas, so, but appreciate it.
And really, a lot of it starts with housing, you know,
Yep.
we've got to have housing, and I think things are seeming to come together in housing. I think the housing study will be really great on that. I think they've already started it, I'm not really sure, but it's like a 4 to 6
Yeah.
month study. But I think that started, and that'll be nice when that's done, because then everybody can see, this is what we really need. Because
Yep.
we all just kind of guess on what we need.
Right. And, you know, the city, you know, we've helped with the other housing projects, and it's been going on, and, well,
We
that's,
appreciate that.
that's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
I think that's proven when we finally do build those extra multifamily type units, and then they fill up immediately.
Yeah.
It tells us something about it. You know.
Exactly.
We appreciate your help. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Anything more, Julie? I don't want to cut you off by accident.
No, that's okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, and you know, and just to go on with a little bit more of what Mike Wallner said, you know, even a 3 or 4 person business generates, you know, auxiliary jobs and that, you know, because every business needs support. They're not standalone. So every little bit does help. So, well, with that, I want to thank you, and we will move on. I see on here that we had a scheduled the 5:35 hearing under old business for the application of, and sale of alcoholic beverages, temporary licenses for Dakota State University Foundation. So,
Anything?
this was this is the second reading on this, if I remember right. Is that correct, Jen?
Nope, it's the hearing, Mayor. It's the hearing. You
It
acknowledged
is the
these
hearing.
2
Yep.
weeks ago. Tonight is the hearing. As per part of your packet, we have the publication in front of you. These are the temporary alcohol license applications as needed by the Dakota State University Foundation for their upcoming events. There are 4 of them,
4 of them, yeah.
correct?
All
Any
right. Do
questions
we
I can
have
answer?
anyone that wants to speak to that, or do we have someone who wants to make a motion
You need a motion to
To approve, please.
approve?
to approve?
To approve the application for sale of alcoholic beverages, the temporary alcohol use license application for Dakota State University Foundation, number 1 under old business.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under new business, authorize the mayor to sign the grant application with the state of South Dakota on the mosquito control efforts. And it's my understanding, President there, Chad, do you want to add anything to this?
No, Mayor, I don't have anything to contribute to this.
I can speak to this, please, Roy.
Okay, Jen,
This is
thank
the
you.
second grant application that you have seen from the state of South Dakota. Several weeks ago, we authorized the mayor to sign the first agreement. That was for the mosquito surveillance activities. That was in the amount of $5,000. This is an additional grant for mosquito control efforts. It is in the amount of $3,033. I do believe that this is used for the chemicals that we use to spray.
Does it also include the thing that was those tabs that we dropped down the sewer wells, the storm
Down
sewers?
storm sewers.
Yeah, down the storm sewers to neutralize that.
Yeah, the
Don't know.
tablets.
That includes, that's included in this too?
You'd have to have
I can't answer
Ted answer that for sure, but this is money that goes to pay towards our expenses for that, those mosquito control efforts, so I'm assuming that it would be part of it, yes.
I just became aware of that today, that we did that. You know, it's a kind of a, I don't know how to speak to the tab, but you drop it on the storm sewers and it reduces, hopefully, some of the mosquitoes in there, so.
Cool
we're
deal.
doing- Yeah.
It
we're
is.
Doing everything we can. You know, so-
And then in visiting, you know, with the mosquito counts, and that, be prior to a spray, and that, the mosquito counts have been in the 300 plus, range, and that, 24 hours after a spray, with the next mosquito counts, and that they have, been showing up in numbers of less than 100. So it does show that it does make a difference. The numbers that I've seen is that when we spray, we are reducing the mosquito population at least by 2/3.
We can't do much about the mayflies, Jane. but, you know.
Hopefully they're gone by now.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign the grant application, the grant agreement, State of South Dakota mosquito control effects, new business item number 1.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 2, authorize the mayor to sign the consultant agreement with DSU on the intramural coordinator. Jen, do you want to speak to that?
I can briefly, if you'll note that all of the DSU department agreements that we have are on an annual basis, so we did do a police one not all that long ago. Here is the latest on the intramural athletics.
This is to pay a portion up to $22,500 of Nick Lemke's salary as he functions as the DSU intramural coordinator. This is the same amount that we approved last year. It does cover the salary the salary and the benefits. We turn around, what we do is, we pay Nick all year long, and then we turn around and bill DSU for the spring semester, half of the spring semester, and then also half of the fall semester of his wages and of his benefits. And this 22.5 has been covering and will cover for another year.
Questions or comments?
My understanding is, and just a point of clarification, Mayor, I think we pay 40% of his salary 9 months, right? 60%, 60%?
50%, we
Okay.
divide it in half, and then
Okay.
we bill half to DSU, and it's based on a per payroll, so when
Okay.
school kicks in, whatever payroll we're on in September, whenever he starts this intramural capacity for college, and it's X amount of payrolls for the last half of the year, and then X amount of payrolls from the beginning of the year. So twice a year, we'll see 2 stipends that DSU reimburses us for.
We don't, our budget is on the calendar
budgeted
year, theirs is
accordingly.
on the fiscal year.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah, they
Thank
don't
you.
match.
That's all.
They do not match. So, all right, any other questions?
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the consultant agreement with DSU for the intramural coordinator.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approve the revised bid date for bid number 839, fuel system improvements of the Madison Municipal Airport. And Chad, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
This item is a request for a change in the bid opening date for something that was approved by the commission on July 6th. At that time, the commission set the bid date for July 21st at 10 a.m. After answering questions from bidders and other discussions, we determined that it's appropriate to proceed with shifting that bid date to encourage more competition and try to receive better pricing by moving that bid date into July 30th at 10 a.m. The notice for bids is included in the agenda packet. The advertisement for bids is there, which lays out those changes. And that is we've coordinated with David Jenks to assure that this is acceptable, and that is the recommendation.
Okay, and I visited with Chad on it, so I'm aware of the discussion. Is there anyone else that has any questions?
I have just a couple here, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
So this was supposed to be open tomorrow,
Correct.
okay? And if we do not approve this, then we'll have bidders that will be scrambling to hurry up and get it in here tomorrow. Are the,
Right.
are they, I mean, are they anticipating, I mean, are the bidders aware that we may delay this or?
Yes, and they're counting on it. We
Okay.
actually will probably have less bidders and,
And probably not as good of bids put
Yes.
together and
Right.
pretty loose and,
I would add that we do anticipate that it will just delay the actual consideration by the commission of the bids just by 1 week. Because we anticipated having this before the commission on July 27th, next week, but now we'll move it back, we anticipate for August 3rd. Within the scheme of the whole project, we believe that was acceptable to proceed and still completed this year.
okay. That was gonna be the other question is, cause I know, we tried to hurry up and pigeonhole this in this year and so that we could get it done before a snow flies and,
Yep.
and, be a lot easier and to obviously construct it when it's not harsh weather and everything as well.
Absolutely.
Couple other little questions is, and I know that we've approved this and the week doesn't scare me, I guess, because it would be nice to get some, much better bids and let the bidders and contractors, put together what they need to have done. My concern is this, and I know we're just the discussion, and so tell me if I shouldn't discuss this yet, or maybe after the vote. But I want to discuss about, do we have other fuel systems at the airport, and or can we, where's our ordinance as far as like if, one of the other hangars sets up a tank and starts selling fuel out of his tank? Are the other airport, wherever, I think the mayor's talked, we have 54 airplanes that call Madison home or something?
Yep, you're right.
Is that right?
Something like that.
So,
That's the number, the last number, and that's what I had, was between 54 and 60.
and so, I'm trying to count 54 airplanes. Do we have that many hangars out there that can hold 54 airplanes? But
Some of them do
needless
have
to say,
couple planes in them, by the way they just back them in.
my part of my question on this, and I know that we'll have another chance to deny these bids if we so choose, but because if we expend all of this money and then we got 20 other people buying their own fuels into their own tanks and they're not using this anyway, that's part of my question on this, and so.
Okay, to help answer, part of your question, there are a couple others out there that have fuel, because there are some of the planes that are antique planes that will not run properly on avgas or on jet fuel, but work better on regular automotive fuel. And so we do have at least one, possibly two planes that I'm aware of out there that keep a small amount there, but then that fuel can't be used in the other planes. We also have out there at the airport, we have a plane that is designed for ethanol. And so in our own fuel system, the city in the past gave, permission to put that tank in the containment area, and that's for ethanol. So there are some other fuels out there that are not the same as what we are working with avgas and jet fuel. So, but not upgrading our current system would encourage more of that. There's no question.
Yeah.
But it's also a policy that we may need to look at that is totally separate from what this motion is for this evening.
I think, Mike, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I think that,
Yeah.
I think next question is an interesting one. Do we have something to prevent that from, somebody throwing up their own tank and selling their own? But I won't belabor that. I am a little confused about your, Chad and Mike, your conversation. So we're going to extend it for a week, right?
Correct.
Well, the bids that we currently have, assuming we have some, will they go, just those go forward? Or will they give you the chance to rewrite theirs, or?
An addendum clarifies that they don't submit the bids until
Okay.
the deadline, and most often they come in the day of,
Sure.
or the day before.
Okay.
And so the addendum would address that.
We have time to get that addendum out, and I mean, get all that out so anybody out there knows.
Yes, and this was, this has been done in the past as more of an administrative function.
Okay.
And in order to meet the timelines and to fully comply with the law, maybe more accurate agenda item would be to ratify, because the addendum was issued with David's consultation based upon it previously being an administrative function. And so to ratify, we advertised last Thursday of this new bid date.
Okay.
To meet the 2-week, the legal requirements for advertising. So maybe that clarifies, it should give them enough time, yes.
And we anticipate this will increase our bids?
We will probably gain another bidder,
Okay.
and it's likely that both of the new bidder and the existing group that we anticipated bidding, they'll be more competitive
More
as well.
competitive. Okay, so it will be more competitive.
Right,
Something
right.
was said, but that's
And-
I just took too many fastballs as a kid.
So, actually, what you're saying is you're gonna delay the bid letting for a week and a half, and then award the bids 1 week later after that.
Right, we anticipate awarding the bids instead of next Monday.
Instead
the
of
following Monday.
27th, you'll be,
Right.
so actually, it's 1 week later for
Correct.
awarding the bids, and they got a week and a half to,
They-
get their bids in.
Yes, they gain a week in a couple days.
Okay.
They gain a week in a couple days, and, yeah.
And anybody who was going to bid the original date still has the opportunity to move that
Yeah.
forward and rewrite it, be more competitive if they want, I suppose.
They
Hopefully.
actually got 9 days more.
Yeah.
The other thing I might submit related to, again, the mayor talked about Mike's question a little bit, with the other fuel tanks that are out there or could be potentially out there. I think that is a discussion that will probably happen between the airport board. Some of the early parts, I think, of that discussion have happened, but to try to determine, and that's an airport thing, I'm sort of
Yeah.
on the side looking into this.
Yeah.
Whether the commission addresses it via the airport manager or directly with the hangar leasers out there, an addendum to their leases, because this certainly could be something that could be put in their leases, I would say, if that's the desire of the commission and/or the airport board, et cetera.
I don't see that it's been a problem, but I don't want it to begin to be one either. And
Well-
We dump, Julie and Rosie, or I think it was Rosie, said, we're, again, and I mentioned this last week, we're dumping a lot of money into a business and a item in our city, important. I'm 100% behind a great airport. Problem is that we need to have a great airport, and right now we maybe have a good one, but we don't have a great one. And part of that's, our airport manager told us last time that he'd have it cleaned up, and it isn't yet. And that was his deadline, not ours. And so I'm looking at our commissioner liaison to take care of that.
Tomorrow night, we have a meeting, and will be addressed, and
So I'm just, and I appreciate that, because I'm trying to stay out of that, and that's your area there, Commissioner Thiel, and I won't be able to attend the meeting, but that was,
And if I might speak right now, and that we're kind of getting a little bit off track, and that.
yeah,
right, yeah.
The fuel-
table that, Mayor.
The fuel improvement is for the city's airport, regardless of who we have out there managing it. I'm not disagreeing with you, but for the sake of, holding the meeting and staying on topic and that, we need a motion here
Now,
to
Mr. Mayor?
approve the revised bid date,
Mr. Mayor?
fuel improvements.
Do we need that to change, and I'm not sure we can do this or not, but do we need to change that word approve to ratify? Is that what you're suggesting, or can we just leave it as approve?
I think approve is probably
Approve
fine.
is
All right,
okay.
I would move to approve the revised bid date of bid number 839, the fuel system improvements of the Madison Municipal Airport, item number 3, and new business.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
hi,
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under number 4, adopt the 2016 to 2020 infrastructure improvement plan. And again, I'm going to ask Chad if he will address this.
Yes, sir, thank you. I'll just start by saying I'll try to be brief. Many of you have seen this plan, which is typically adopted annually before. The previous versions are on our website, and we've used them. This plan typically only commits, and I use that term loosely, but it only commits or designates projects for 2016. It's a 5-year plan that shows what we anticipate with, for projects using second cent funds and some other various funds as outlined in the plan. Again, committing primarily to 2016. I won't go through it page by page. I can do that if necessary with questions, but in the interest of brevity, I'll maybe just hit on a few high points. With this plan, I'm proposing to transfer $200,000 out of the second cent sales tax fund to supplement the special maintenance fee projects in 2018 and 2020. Again, that doesn't even pertain to next year, as I had alluded to. Next year is what is being primarily committed, but that's what we've laid out in the plan. And that is in an effort to accelerate pavement improvements. Right now, the special maintenance fee fund raises about $200,000 to $225,000 a year. Those transfers would increase the size of those projects. Another significant part of this plan is with the change in Senate Bill 1 that was approved in the legislature this year. The South Dakota DOT has changed how they allocate the Surface Transportation Program funds, STP funds. Now they simply transfer those to the city, and as a matter of fact, the city has already received their allocation this year, which is about $196,000. What I'm proposing to do is to take those funds that had to be receipted into or into a particular fund, as the auditors had advised Jen, and transfer those funds into this IIP fund, into the second cent sales tax fund, and basically $200,000 a year. And that will basically be used to accomplish surfacing improvements as part of this plan when we do water and sewer mains underneath, but it'll also be able to be used for the transfer out that I just talked about prior to this point. You know, we could transfer those to the surfacing only. So we're putting 100% of those funds that we're receiving right back into infrastructure, depending on the year and the particular need. The third point that I'd like to make, I hit a highlight, which is somewhat new this year. Based upon input from the commission previously, we are planning to have a special maintenance fee project next year. That's going to be funded entirely from that fund. Basically, the dollars that are brought in from that fee, that assessment fee that's charged to property owners. That's going to be funded entirely, again, from that fund. However, with that project, there's going to be some sidewalk, some curb and gutter, some other improvements. We are not funding any of those improvements from the special maintenance fee fund. Those improvements the cost for those are coming out of the IIP. And then next year, it's about $46,000, if I recall correctly. And so we just wanted to be responsive to what we've heard as an interest of the commission to use the special maintenance fee funds 100% for streets, and don't use it for concrete, sidewalks, ADA, anything. So that's how we pursued accomplishing.
Even though it could be, but.
It's arguable it could be, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but we've decided, I think, when we implemented that program.
Right.
To try to keep it for what it's for.
Yep, clear tracking and
Yep.
some could say transparency, so to speak.
Yep.
But, and then the fourth item I'd like to bring up is we've added West Center Street back into this plan. That became an option, I would submit to you, when we determined last year that the South Dakota DOT moved the second part of the Highway 34 reconstruction from 2017 to 2019. So there became some funds available that we had been putting aside and planning to expend on that second phase of the Highway 34 construction. That had, the West Center Street project was in this plan back in 2012, but it had to be shuffled out of the plan when we first became aware that the DOT was doing both phases, if you will, of the state highway project. Those are the main points I wanted to make. The other thing is, of course, I didn't mention this earlier, that we coordinate the cash flows with Jen and her office and coordinate the needs with Fred and his staff, to try to make sure we're making the right improvements at the right time. And I will just be open for questions if there's any questions following this.
Anyone have any questions or comments?
Now, in West Center, you're gonna take the curb and gutter and put new water and sewer mains and everything in, right?
Yes, that was what was anticipated back in 2012, was a full reconstruct, curb and gutter, water, sewer, storm sewer, and street, yes.
Are you gonna take a foot or so off of each side to make that street a little bit wider or not?
We will install our typical street width, which I believe is, no, I know it's 32 feet from the front of the curb, and then you add on a 2.5-foot curb and gutter on each side. And if I recall correctly, I think it is a little narrower than our typical street, so it will widen out, yeah.
That's probably one of our most narrow street in town here.
Right, and I should say that street has been a high priority well before I was here, and all my predecessor, some of the street predecessors, and the water and sewer predecessors, they had all identified that as a high priority project, and disappointed we haven't been able to get it funded until now, but we're looking optimistic that we can keep it into this plan and do it in 2017.
If it could be done on the engineering part of it, I'd like to see it probably be widened out 2 foot on each side at least, or maybe even 3 foot on each side to make it a wider street. Because it is kind of a safety issue out there.
Right, we'll look to we'll have further discussions, but at this point in time, I anticipate our standard width that you see on most streets.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else have any other questions?
No 2020s on here?
Yes.
Well, you may notice in the plan itself, on the project listing on page 3, there is $800,000 planned in 2020. We just haven't, if I'd even guessed to put something in there right now, there's very small chance that it would stay in that year, so we just put them as placeholders right now in for the cash flow. This certainly can change and will change in subsequent years, depending on different needs that arise, different could be economic development interests, could be any number of things that would lead to changes, and all have led to changes in the past.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to adopt the 2016 to 2020 infrastructure improvement plan?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 5, authorize the use of LEPC flood study update reserve for the section number 22 flood study. And again, I'll ask Chad to address that.
Your Honor, I would actually defer to Jen to start the discussion. I certainly anticipate making a few comments subsequently, but since it's dealing with finance and reserve transfer, I'll let Jen start, and then I can add any other questions, particularly about the study itself.
And I will.
Very good.
Mayor, I'm simply in receipt, I'm following my own rules here is what I'm doing with the agenda item of authorize the use for the LEPC flood study update reserve. You'll remember
Yep.
several years ago, we established a reserve. I believe we added to it an additional year. Right now, there's $9,000 in that reserve. It was not budgeted for use in 2015. I am now in receipt of a letter from the Department of Army along with a request from Bobby Yonke at the county. They have made their final payment towards this study and are asking for our reimbursement of our portion, which is $8,868.53. I have submitted that for payment. You would approve that next Monday if you would approve of authorizing the use of this reserve. Anything to add, Chad?
Anyone else have any questions?
Your Honor, I could say a few things right now as well, if that's all right.
Go ahead.
Okay, we haven't had contact most, in the last few months with the Corps, and when I say we, I mean the folks from Lake County and myself and my staff. However, this project has been worked on extensively through the winter months. I reached out to the Corps again today for some additional explanation as they're preparing to finalize things. It's my understanding that they have utilized the first portion of the funds that both Lake County and the city have provided as their policies and procedures require them to spend the non-federal share at the same rate and at the same time that the federal share comes in. And they've expended those first payments from Lake County and the city of Madison. Now, they've requested a second portion of the federal funds for this project, and they now need the cities and the counties' non-federal funds that go along with that to be able to expend them down again, because they're per their policies and regulations, they have to be spent down at the same time proportionally. So that's just some input that I received from them today. I believe they will have the draft report, some modeling work done by August 31st, with the draft report completed by September 15th, and then of course after the draft report, the final report will come.
All right. Anyone else? Anyone have any other questions?
I'll
Do we
make
have
a
a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize use of LEPC flood study update reserve, section 22 flood study,
Second.
Up to $9,000.
Hey.
up to $9,000.
Thank you.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 6, you have some personnel adjustments attached.
Motion to approve personnel.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no other announcements or other business, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, we are adjourned. And I believe now Jen has budget that she is going to discuss.
Yep.